Everyone, happy Friday. Happy Friday. We are just going to wait for a couple more people to welcome everyone. Hello, hello. Hey Taylor, how are you?
Yay. Okay.
It
Cool.
worked. Yay. Oh my gosh. I have lip gloss on and it's like making my lips freak out. Jeez.
Are you like
Hello.
allergic?
I think so. It's like not okay.
Yikes.
I don't know. But hi everyone. Thank you for jumping on. Hello, hello. Before we get started, I want to set some ground rules. Number one, if you guys have questions, please drop them in the comments. We are here to answer. We want engagement. We want to make this a live interaction. Number two, at the very bottom right-hand corner of your screen, you are going to see this little arrow to send. I want you guys to send this. I want you to send it on your story, post it, let the world know, let everyone know that we are going live and that we are here to just be a support to you guys. So if you could do that, we would really appreciate it. But Marissa, hello, happy Friday.
Hello. Thanks for having me. Happy Friday.
I am honored. Oh my gosh, this is kind of a big deal. Y'all don't know this, but this is a big deal.
Can you hear the lawn stuff happening or no?
No.
Okay, cool. Great.
No. Hey, Heather. Hello, hello. We actually met at your PCC event. All the good things. Yes. Awesome, you guys. Well, we are going to get started. But before we do, if you guys watched my story this morning, you know that I have struggled so much with self-sabotage. Honestly, it's still something that I'm still struggle with and battle with today. I don't think we're ever going to get in a place where you're 100% better. Like, we're always going to be battling it. And one of the people who have made such an impact on my life and my journey has actually been Marissa. So she is the perfect person to chit chat about this. But before we start, Marissa, do you want to give them a little background on you in case they don't know who you are?
Sure. Oh boy. Okay, so I'm Marissa. Hello. I am the owner and founder of Permanent Change Coaching, which is an online health and fitness coaching business where we help really busy, driven, work from home women go from yo-yo dieting for decades to losing body fat, getting healthier inside and out, and most importantly, repairing their relationship with food, with themselves, and really just being, empowered in the process. So Lena and I met through a mentorship event that we were at, and we have been friends and working together ever since. And yeah, she loves it when I call her on her bullshit. And you picked such a hard hitting topic today. I was like, I could talk about dessert. I can talk about this and that. And she was like, nope, self-sabotage. So here we go.
Yeah. And I mean, I feel like your bread and butter truly is the mindset work, overcoming limiting beliefs, creating new ones, breaking self-sabotage. Like, this is right up your alley and everything that you've taught me and your clients too. So I'm excited. So the people know that I've struggled with the self-sabotage thing. What about you? Has that been something you've had to overcome or work through?
No, yeah, absolutely. Like every day. And the whole thing about this is that we oftentimes look at this in like a very like the things that I notice type of lens of like, okay, well, I lost weight and then I gained it back. Or I, just gave up on myself in some situation. But I think a lot of times the biggest and most impactful self-sabotage that we face is the stuff that we're not even aware that's happening to us. And that's kind of like the first tip that, like you said, 3 tips for self-sabotage. The first, like, I would say it's more of like steps, like 3 steps to overcoming self-sabotage. The first one is just bringing awareness to like what you're actually doing to sabotage yourself in the first place. And most of the time, we'll get really deep into this, but most of the time it just comes from a place of not truly believing that you're worthy or deserving of the results that you want in your life, whether that be with your body or your finances or your relationships. And usually it comes up to something that I read in a book from Gay Hendricks called The Big Leap. And he talks about something called the upper limit problem. And essentially we all kind of just have this belief or this threshold of how much good and success and happiness and abundance that we allow into our lives. And when we hit that threshold and we like come up against it, then if we go above it, we self-sabotage to bring ourselves back down to that threshold. And for a lot of people, well, for most people, that threshold is pretty freaking low. It's really low. And the way that we actually propel ourselves forward in life is by figuring out what is causing that threshold to be so low, beliefs around what we deserve, self-worth, and what we're truly worthy of achieving. And the more we kind of break through those ceilings, the higher that threshold gets. And that's how we actually level up in a sustainable way. When it comes to weight loss and fitness, a lot of times this is kind of the difference between losing and gaining the same weight over and over again to actually losing weight and keeping it off and changing your lifestyle for good.
Forever. Yeah, no, that is huge. Why do you think we create these limits? Like, and why are they so low?
Well, I mean, geez, that's a
Loaded
deep question. I mean, I think that it's just like the way that like society is nowadays is like just having low self-esteem, low self-worth is like the norm that we are all like breeded to accept, which is kind of, I mean, stupid in my opinion. We should all be striving for, achieving great things and feeling awesome about ourselves. But I think there's just so much of the like social media comparison, just a difficult narrative to like grow up with, especially in this day and age. I'll say, sorry, can you hear that?
A little bit.
Okay, it's really loud. I'm gonna go inside.
And if you guys have any questions at all while Marissa is going through this, drop them in the comments like we said, and we will go over them at the very end.
Okay. Sorry about that.
Nope,
Is that better?
okay. Yeah, so much better.
Cool. I'm just gonna put that there. But yeah, so why is it low? Yeah, I think it's just like societal is part of it. Like what we are taught, what we grow up with, generational is also a part of it. Like what our families and our parents instill upon us. That's something I'm really grateful for in my life, is that like the way that I was raised was kind of like a you can do whatever you want type of mentality from my parents. And if I didn't grow up with that, I don't think I would be anywhere near the position that I'm in today. And like it just really instilled certain beliefs in me of like, oh yeah, if I put this work in, then this result will happen. And unfortunately, that's not the beliefs nor the circumstances that a lot of people grow up in. And, it breeds then actions that you take or don't take that move you forward or move you backwards. So hopefully that's a good answer to your question.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. So, and you guys, for the people watching the replay, Marissa's going to leave us with 3 tips. I should have said this in the beginning, but 3 tips, 3 tactics, 3 takeaways that you all can use to really combat self-sabotage. And again, it's a jam-packed 30 minutes. Like we are going to go, go, go. She's going to spit some fire. She's a quick talker. We know that. But it's all good. It's all good stuff. So that's a great, great first one. And you're right. I feel like, you grew up in I know we all have our problems, right? But when it comes to that mindset and that mentality, like they created such a good foundation for you that most people don't have the opportunity. So that's pretty incredible.
Yeah. And I will say like, I 100% acknowledge that like I grew up with a ton of privilege in that sense, both just mindset wise and also the circumstances that I was raised in.
Yep.
So that obviously plays a role with it. But at the same time, like you hear the like famous people who are super successful stories that they came from nothing and blah, blah, blah. And like, yes, I think it is, ultimately what you do with it. And it's all relative to like where your starting point is. And one of the biggest things that can kind of get in the way of just progress is comparison. Like if you're going to compare yourself to someone whose circumstances were totally different than you, maybe they did have a leg up and they also had a better, upbringing in terms of their mindset, like, and they're farther ahead than you. How much good is it actually doing you to compare yourself to this person who, just has a completely different background versus just trying to compare yourself to where you were in the past?
Yeah.
So,
absolutely.
Yeah. Anyways, tangent
aside.
Yeah.
Question for you. Do you think it's more, is it more valuable to come from a place that maybe has that privilege, like financially, you're in a better area, whatever, like you have that going for you, or coming from a place, it could be poverty, it could be a ton of other things. However, your parents instill this type of mindset.
Oh my God. I hate that I'm about to say this answer because it like sounds like a cop out, but I really think it's very individual. Like some people are born in poverty and they stay in poverty their whole life and they never do anything about it and they develop a victim mentality,
Yeah.
and they really want to like whine about it their whole life. And that sucks that was like the circumstances that happened. And then some people are born in poverty and they're like, I'm going to get out of this, and like they put themselves in the right situations that help them move forward and get leaps and bounds ahead. Yeah. Some people with privilege, maybe they start ahead and they stay ahead, but they never get anywhere and they're super unhappy. Or there's someone with privilege that like is still builds resilience and is able to like use it for something good. And so I think regardless of where your starting point is, you just have to find a way to build resilience and not allow yourself to settle for whatever your current reality is, because it's really just about like your own, and this is like the why are we here life question. Like this is really just about your own journey of like developing yourself. And like if you're watching this and you follow Lena or myself, like you're obviously interested to some degree in getting better as a human being. And it's just about like you're here to progress. Like we're not just here to exist and be like a lump of nothing that doesn't do anything or accomplish anything. It's like usually people gain fulfillment out of life by like progressing, exploring, and developing. And so wherever you start, it doesn't matter, just develop resilience and move forward.
Yeah. And for everyone watching too, if you are like, oh my gosh, like I still feel stuck, like I don't feel like I have that, that resilience or just kind of making progress or progression towards becoming that next version of you or that better version of you, like you can start today. You can start now. It doesn't matter where you came from. It doesn't matter how many times you've messed up or how many times you've self-sabotaged. Like you have the opportunity like right now. I feel like this sounds so preachy and like gospel-y, but no, like you can become aware and make those changes and those shifts and start making those progressions towards becoming a new version of you. So how do people build that resilience?
Yeah, well, I think the first thing is like you have to be really patient with yourself. I was actually going to say this regardless of if you asked a question or not. But you have to be really patient with yourself because unfortunately, progress with building resilience and self-discipline and overcoming your struggles unfortunately doesn't feel like progress for a really long time, especially if you're not starting in a great place. So for example, with like self-sabotage, for example, right? If you're self-sabotaging by binging on whatever's in the pantry every other day because you can't stick to your diet and you're trying to build self-discipline, but you keep doing that, getting better still looks like self-sabotaging frequently, just a little bit less. So like it's not fun. It's like you go from like every day or every other day binging on the pantry to like 3 times a week. You don't feel like you're going anywhere when that's the case, but you have to be able to actually like zoom out with your lens and acknowledge like this is an improvement and I'm going to celebrate it even though it feels just kind of crappy still. And eventually you get to twice a week, once every other week, once every month, once every 6 months, once every year. And then it's so spaced out and far apart that like it's not noticeable, nor is it impacting your actual quality of life or ability to live your best life. But like the initial stages of making changes honestly really suck because you're watching yourself do things that are dysfunctional over and over again. And you're like, why haven't I changed this yet? I'm literally like, I'm aware now, but I'm still watching myself go through this pattern. And that's almost worse than like being ignorant to it. So it does kind of get worse before it gets better to build resilience.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. You've coached me through that many times, all like almost verbatim, which, we're also going through the journey, even when we're coaches, right? So let's jump into number 2. What do you have for us for number 2?
Yeah. So number 1 was definitely just that mindfulness, that awareness, bringing yourself to awareness of like, I have to see myself do the thing in order to change the thing. But then from there, you have to get to the root of why that's happening in the first place. It's usually some kind of deep-seated belief about your self-worth, what you believe that you're capable of, deserving of, etc. But you have to dig into that. So I'll give you an example of a client of mine who's not you, Lena, so I'm not putting you on the spot. Yeah, no, this is completely different. So this is a weight loss example. This is a client who she was stalled out in her fat loss journey, and she was checking in with me, and she was like, well, I just keep going out on the weekends and drinking with my friends and partying. And I was like, cool. Okay. She was really frustrated, and I was like, you know what? Let's just get on a call. I feel like we just need to talk about this. So we got on a call, and I was like, listen, I think most coaches at this point would just be like, here's how to make it look like you're drinking when you're not, or like you should just stop drinking, or you should set a drink limit, or you should eat before you go, or whatever. But clearly, like, you've tried all those things, it's not working. So like, what are you getting out of partying that's making you want to go so bad? And so I went the opposite direction, and I said, and you have to be able to ask yourself the right questions here, because getting to the root belief is very difficult, and you're probably going to dance around it for a long time before you figure it out. But let's say, like, you've asked yourself all the questions, like, why do I do this? Why do I self-sabotage? Why am I like this? You probably aren't going to get super far asking yourself those questions. So instead, ask yourself, what are you getting out of the dysfunctional behavior that you're still doing? So that would be, for her, she has FOMO every time that she wouldn't go. She would feel like she was socializing, getting good social energy out. She was meeting new people. And she said FOMO, right? So fear of missing out. And I was like, all right, well, like, let's say you didn't go. Like, what are you afraid of happening? And like, literally that instant, she just started crying. And I was like, what is happening? I was not prepared for this. And she started crying, and she was like, I'm scared that if I don't go out and if I don't meet people, I'm going to be alone forever, and I'm never going to find a partner. So it was a deep-seated belief of like, I'm not worthy of finding a partner, and basically had to like really like push herself into these situations that were not productive for her to try to find her person. Yeah. And so then I was like, okay, wow, like, I really appreciate you sharing that. So it sounds like you're putting yourself in this environment out in the bar and hang out with your friends, even though you don't want to, and it's not in alignment with your goals, because you want a partner. And that is a innate survival instinct as a human being, right? So of course that's going to subconsciously override our goal to lose 10 pounds, right? Yeah. So she was doing that. We brought that realization to it. Again, bring the awareness to the root belief. And then basically the third step is you have to decide to rewrite your story, and rewrite the belief and the steps that come from that. So then I basically asked her, like, okay, cool. So like, this is a huge motivator for you, is finding a partner. So like, what's that person like? And she was like, well, he's disciplined, he meal preps, he goes to the gym, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, cool, where does he hang out? And she was like, not at the bar. And I was like, awesome. So like, what are you going to do? She was like, set my boundaries and like stand firm in what I want. And because when you bring awareness to what the belief is, usually you can figure out that it's probably not that logical in the first place, and realign yourself with the goals at hand, what you actually want. Because a lot of times our dysfunctional self-sabotaging behaviors come from deep-seated beliefs that are beliefs from the past that no longer serve us, that kept us safe at one point in our life, but are no longer functional in today's setting. I'll use a personal example of mine. Whenever I am struggling with kind of my upper limit and my self-sabotage, I'm like, one thing that I fear oftentimes is like, things are going really well. I'm waiting for the other shoe to drop. Like someone in my life is just going to die. Like that is literally one of my fears. Yeah. Because I think it's going so well. There's no way that I deserve this, that someone's just going to die. And it's this fear of like, it can't all go well. Like something's gonna go wrong. Someone's gonna leave. Someone's gonna abandon, like something like that. And so that's super vulnerable, but I mean, I don't know, I'm an open book. So like, that is a belief that served me at one point in my life when someone really important to me in my life left when I wasn't prepared for them to leave. And I healed from that, but like my subconscious, my nervous system is still functioning that way. So it's like the other shoe's going to drop. Things are going well. Something bad's going to happen. Mm-hmm. And so a lot of times we have to actually bring awareness to what's going on there, because it's not serving us. And once we can do that, it actually gives us power over, when we realize it's happening, we can say, it's that thing that's totally irrational again. I'm not going to like submit to that. Yeah. And I'm going to like move forward still in the direction that I want, because I acknowledge that this is not serving me. But if we don't bring awareness to it, then we just follow through that way because it feels right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, girl, So powerful. So stinking powerful. Oh my goodness. Yeah. And I think one of the biggest things that I've learned from you is that those tendencies, those behaviors, those upper limits, like you just said, those served you at some point. And as we are growing and evolving, those will no longer serve us, but they're going to keep coming up. And I feel like I've hit that, right? And I wasn't aware of it until you challenged me and really had me deep diving into like what is the why? What's the why behind it? And having to rewrite that story. So when your clients are trying to rewrite this story, what are some of the issues that they run into?
Hmm. I think one of the issues that I think comes to mind off of that is like when you rewrite the story, you're basically telling yourself like that story that I used to believe is no longer true anymore.
Mm-hmm.
But the problem is it still feels true. It still
Yeah.
feels safer to retreat back into the thing that is keeping us self-sabotaging.
Yeah.
And so because that feels safer, our instinct is to think when we ask ourselves like, is that belief still true? Like that I'm not worth it, that I'll never be able to, you know, maintain the weight loss, that I'll never be able to reach my financial goals, I'll never be able to have a loving partner and a healthy relationship. Those are the deep-seated beliefs that people like fall into just thinking about themselves.
Mm-hmm.
When they have to question themselves, then is that actually true? You're
Yeah.
faced with a choice and you have to say yes or no. We want to say yes because that's where we have been saying yes and we've been perpetuating these behaviors. Saying no, we might not like completely believe it. So like we don't say no because we don't believe that that's actually the truth.
Mm-hmm.
But the only way to make it the truth is by saying no, even when you only have like this little bit of an inkling of hope that it is the truth or will be the truth, and you're reinforcing a new belief. And so it's not about fooling yourself into a new truth, but it's about putting your foot down and saying like, even if I don't believe it yet, I know that there's something out there that's better for me.
Mm-hmm.
And this is the first step towards that. And, you know, you were at the live event that we threw, and Travis talked about that limiting belief cycle, but you have over 60,000 thoughts per day. Most of them are negative. And so, you know, if you have that thought come up and you're like, is that deep-seated belief really true? You have to say no over and over and over and over again. And again, it feels like it feels like you're not progressing for a while because like instead of like six, like I'll use the math for example. I don't think it's actually like this thought 60,000 times, but let's say you have that thought 60,000 times and every time you say yes it's true and I'm going to perpetuate behaviors that prove that.
Yeah.
Instead we say it 50,000 times, yes that's true, 10,000 times, no that's not true. You're still not going to be moving very much in the direction of your goals. Like it's still going to be just disproportionately a negative belief.
Yeah.
But over time you'll get to 50-50 and then you'll have a majority of your beliefs aligning with where you want to be, and then your actions will follow because your beliefs influence your actions and therefore your results.
I love it. Yeah. Can you also just touch on and explain in detail the term upper limit for Heather? She popped that in the comments.
Yes. So, yeah, Heather, this is the best book ever. You should read it. It's called The Big Leap by Gay Hendricks. It's like one of my favorite books of all time because it just came at the right time in my life and totally just gave me a new perspective. But the upper limit problem is essentially your upper limit is everyone has a certain threshold of like good and love and abundance and awesome things that they allow into their own lives. And when we hit that threshold or go above it, we self-sabotage to bring ourselves back down. And that's how most people operate. Yep. But if we are aware of that and we work towards improving that, then we are able to increase where that threshold is and constantly level ourselves up in our lives. Mm-hmm. And yeah, it's on Amazon, audiobooks,
all over. And Marissa also has a podcast with the author of the book as well. Yeah. If you want to plug that.
Such an honor. Yeah, we had a podcast with Gay Hendricks and we kind of talked about that topic, but about a bunch of other stuff too. So it was a good one.
Yeah, definitely a lot about fitness too. One other thing that I think plays into this, and I know that we are kind of wrapping up here, definitely want to honor your time and everyone else who's probably on their lunch break. But one thing that you taught me, Marissa, was as we are going through, right, we're identifying these behaviors, these, just actions that we have, these beliefs that we have. when we're in the midst of reframing, we're recognizing, right? We're reframing. A lot of society says, ugh, you know, if you feel fat or you feel ugly, like let's just turn it around. Let's be positive. Like you know that you're self-sabotaging. Let's just flip the script. Let's reframe to something positive, and there you go, problem solved. You taught me that that's not the
Yeah.
case. So,
Yeah.
and that's honestly different than what fitness in itself or the world is teaching right now. So, can you just touch on that briefly? Because I think a lot of people would benefit from that.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think the biggest thing is like you just can't delude yourself of the truth. Like if the way that you feel about yourself is like I'm a fat POS, then like you can't go from that to like I love the way I look in the mirror and I rock every piece of clothing that I have if that's not even close to where you are yet, right? And so I think screaming positive affirmations at yourself in the mirror is kind of stupid because you literally will feel ridiculous and
Yeah.
silly and stupid, like yelling something at yourself that you genuinely don't believe is true at the moment. And so you have to take a step in the middle first. So I call this negative to neutral. And so instead of saying, I look like a fat POS, instead saying, this is how I look today. And I didn't come up with this myself. This is a lot of other practitioners have used this that I've picked up on it. But instead of just, you know, this looks horrible, just this is how it looks. It's just, it is what it is. It's not good. It's not bad. I'm not assigning morality to it or a value to it. It's just is. And when you are able to do that, you're able to just have a more accepting view of your life and yourself and where you are. And then you can take more productive actions towards your goals. And then you can be in a place where eventually you can start saying positive things about yourself. And usually they're like semi-positive things. Like in the past, I've been really all or nothing and all over the place, but I'm working on being more, doing things in moderation. Like that is a positive statement that is in progress versus a overwhelmingly like positive statement that's like literally deluding yourself of like, I'm amazing and everything I do is wonderful. Like if I said that, like I don't even, right? Like I think that's stupid. So yeah, just negative to neutral. If you can remember that, it can be really helpful when you look in the mirror, when you are just struggling with your own self-image.
Yeah, yeah, huge. Oh my gosh, all my notifications. Ah, sorry. I think Aaron would absolutely disagree. He'd probably say that you're the hottest thing out there. Probably the best thing since sliced toast, whatever that saying is.
Sliced bread, yeah. Yes. I
Sliced
do
bread.
like sliced
Oh
bread.
my gosh, you know, something like that. But yeah, Marissa, I appreciate you. For everyone who is joining or watching the replay, definitely give her a follow. She will be tagged in this. She is a wealth of knowledge and has been a huge rock in my life. So thank you, Marissa. This is just a taste of what you guys will get on her page. So really, really appreciate you. And if we could do a thumbnail on this and title it positive affirmations are a lie, or you know, something spicy, that would be good.
Cool.
That'd be a good one. Woo. All right. Well, any last minute things that you want to say for the people watching before we click off and enjoy our Friday?
Just know that you're worth more than what you probably think and strive for that. Don't be afraid to strive for it and not settle for less.
All right. Thanks, Marissa. Hope you have a great day.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks. Bye.